Okay, so here we are. So we have SPY here. The market obviously took a downturn from the 3,800 push. See here, here's the daily chart on the top left here. So right now we're gapping up in this Monday evening. 37.81 currently, up 0.5% and up 19 points, just about. You can see we had 2 down days here. So from like 38.14 to 37.40, around a 70 to 80 point downturn. It is possible we try to go for new all-time highs, but sooner or later it's going to catch up to us where we do make the downturn and take a pretty hefty dip around maybe 3,400, 3,500, which would be a nice, turnaround there. Even possible they could test down here or even something like that. So we just got to watch going forward and see how they set it up there. AMC is another good play that is starting to get a movement on Friday. And you can see it kind of bottomed here around that $192 range. And you can see it kind of came back to that level over here. And then we had a push here. It's possible we get to 270 to 280 this week, maybe even 3 if we get a nicer push. So that's one play that we're in and watching for a move higher this week. So around 30 to 40 cent move, possibly 50 to 60 cents. TTD, another play that we're looking at here. You can see it's by this fib area, been holding that area pretty well around the 770 range. Up here on this chart. So it's been holding this line that I drew over here, right around 770, and it touched it on Friday, and you can see we bounced from that area. So I'm looking for a push back up into the 800 area, and that's where I'd like to take a profit around there. Maybe leave a runner or two to see if we can get to the 820 again. But that's where I'm playing on this. That line has been acting as a good, as you can see here, as a breakout point. And as a breakout point over here, you'd see it acted as resistance over here, and then it broke out and then pulled back. So looking for a possible breakout again, bouncing off of it, going higher. So this one fell a lot on Friday. Actually fell a lot since about a week ago. A high of around 378, and we are at 282 right now. So just about 100-point move down. And I'm looking for a bottom to settle in around the 270 to 280 range. So anywhere within this 10 to 15 point range here. And we started the position Friday at around 295, 300, and it was only a starter. So we're looking to add pretty much, in this 5 to 15 point range and build our position there on the dips. We have the plays going out. Let me see the date I have here. Yeah, June 18th, 450 call. So we have a lot of time, and we're just looking for a push back over maybe 310, 325. So getting our average, around these sort of areas would be perfect. And we'd have a nice, probably 100 to 300% play on the way up on a $30 to $40 move. That's what we're looking at there. Another play that we were looking at is so this one's setting up. It had a nice move the week before on these 2 candles right here, breaking out higher, including this candle. And you can see it's kind of formed a little pennant here from that move. So we kind of went around 40 to 50% halfway to that move on the downside here on this candle right here, which is good to see. You can see the base was formed there, and now we're starting to rise up. And obviously we see we could have the resistances here going down. And here's a little pennant I drew out, looking for a push over that 233, going into that 237. And that's a big area there. So over that 237, we could push higher. And there's a lot of, room over that 237. And we could see that 253 all-time high pushing into the 280 and 300 over this year is what I'm looking for. So possible 80-point upside this year. And, possibly even more. You just never know. But That's what we're looking at going into the next 2 to 3 months, I would say. Zoom is another kind of setup here. So Zoom, TeleDoc, DocU, these plays have been doing very well with that sort of with the COVID or the coronavirus, because it kind of relates to them that they could do online services and stuff like that. And here's another one. So you have a formation here where it's kind of trusted these trend lines here, and you can see we topped out around that area and kind of coming right down to the base, and now you have a nice breakout here of this basically wedge I drew, and we got rejected around that 400 405 range. I'm going to see a pullback here, which we did get, and I want to start building a position now again around this 375 385 range. So I'm going to start a position tomorrow in that, going longer term, probably around end of the year contracts. Let's see if I have that on here too. So May 21st, 500 is what I have here. Possibly could do longer dated there too, and want to get a move up to this 440, 450. So here's 480 is where we have another little volume shelf here. But around this 450 range, you can see there's like a mini gap here. I guess it might have been filled, but I would like to see a move to that 440 to 450 range right here. And that's where I'm looking at to take a profit over these next few weeks, next few months when it gets a move going. And this is a setup that I would love to get into, like I said, tomorrow, and build it on this dip here. Now, I want to go over a trade that we had last week, which is really good. SE here. So I posted this on the last week's watch list, and this one had a nice rounding cut formation. We entered on either this day or this day, and I believe it was this one, and we added more on this day because of the inside day of this candle. And as you can see, it continued higher. We sold on this day. Sadly, we sold a lot of it, and mostly all of it, because just wanted to move my positions into, I added more BlackBerry and other sort of positions in that regard. And I used this money for that. And as you can see, we even got a nicer move to around 238. So our entry at around 212, 215, turned into a 20 to 22 point play. So worked out very well. I'm not upset that I sold a little early. I had around an 80% play there as well. So it was a good play, but this is a formation that you want to kind of look for going forward, trying to find a rounding bottom. And then you could see we started to set up right here, and then we broke out that next day, continuing higher. So BlackBerry, this is an interesting one. Not worried about the phone aspect of the company, which everyone remembers, including myself. The reason why we are trading or investing in this one is because of the cybersecurity, the AI version of this company, and how they're working with EVs with their AI. So their AI data and knowledge. So you could see here, forgive the fib is kind of over, powering the chart a little bit here. But this trend line that I have drawn here going down on the slant is actually a weekly trend line. And we broke out of this trend, and we are now in a uptrend. So we broke out of this long weekly downtrend for months and months, maybe even a few years. And we are now pushing higher. So the targets here, we want to get back to that 12 area. That's where a big bunch of resistance is around that area. And we touched it in pre-market, and you could see we kind of dipped down from that area as well. From there, we would want to, basically just follow these fibs up, 1460. Next area that really, starts to make a lot of sense is that 20 to 25 area. And I really think this one's going to be a great play this year. This is one of my highly convicted plays that I talked about in the 2021 watch list. And we entered it around 720, and now we hit 12, basically 1150 the other day, and we closed at around 980. So This is one to watch, and I will be adding dips here going forward. So let's see what else I have here. ABMD, PLTR, okay. Flint. ABMD, so this is basically like another setup, kind of related to the TDOC, TDOC. But this one is just more of, wait, let me just bring it up. So this one is a mini pennant here off the move. And then this one's just trading a mini range, almost like a flag, but I wouldn't really consider it. It's just kind of trading a range here until it breaks out of this 330 or 332 area. And you can see we kind of had that push on Friday off that down day on Thursday. So we want to watch this one going forward into this week, because this could be a big mover too. And the reason why you're going to see that here is we have a nice, basically forming a rounding bottom and curling here. You could say we have a cup and handle, forgive me for this right here. But basically you can have a cup and handle around here as well. Let's see if I could see it on the monthly. And this one was a big mover in the past too. So it went from 20 to 450 and it went all the way down to 120. So it could be trying to break out to those 450 numbers this year. It's very possible that it could get a 130-point move, even push higher into this next fib above at 536. So this is one to look at going forward too. And we'll see how that plays out going forward. So this is one play that I do want to watch going forward and into the end of the year, as I think this one has a lot of room to run. Next play we're going to be doing is PLTR, Palantir. And let me just clean this up a little bit. One moment. Okay, so for this one, it's been a lot of talk on it. I guess you could say it's been stuck. For sure it's been stuck. Can't seem to get out of its own way right now. But it did have strong relative strength Friday and a down day. I know it did break down here, but it is trying to break out of this basically kind of range it has going here. And it poked out of this mini pennant here. Forgive me for my drawings. It might not be exactly what you may see on other traders' platforms, but this is basically right around where it kind of is forming. And it really needs to get over this like 29 area, 30 area. Over 30 is where it really would get a move, and you'd see an all-time high around 33.50. That's where you want to see this move next. So that 30 range is where you really want to see this close above, because it's been stuck in this 20 range for since November 23rd now, and that's where we want to see sort of a movement over that. And actually, I don't even think it's had one close over 30. It has not. It has had two opens over 30, but not one close over 30. So yeah, that 30 level has been pretty hectic on this one, 29 to 30. So definitely watch that this week, see if it has strength again, and see if it can push higher due to that strength. XPEV. So this is another one with all the EVs moving. You see this one, I kind of drew like a makeshift flag here to better explain to other traders now what to really look for. So I drew the pole here, and I drew basically the flag or the pennant here. You can see we broke out of that and continued higher from there. While I'm on this one, I might as well just go over it really quickly. You want to see a base of around $50 to $53, possibly even this 54 to 55 range. And that's where you could start a position. I would look for, later, if you're doing options, I'd do January $100 calls, or as far as you can go, get those $100 calls. I think this is going to be a big play over the next year or two. So definitely look into that one. They are making cars, they are selling cars. They're basically, I would say, second in line behind Tesla. So that's one thing to look into. And XPEV, been riding a strong trend line here. So let's see if this holds. And we're getting right to a buy point here, right at that 47 range. If it drops another dollar to 46, that would be a good buying point. So I'm going to look for calls this week on this one as well. And I would look for March calls or at least February, want to get at least 1 to 2 months out for safety, and probably do 55 calls would work out with that for a lower price on the options. And I think this play looks pretty good in that regards, as it's been riding this trend line over the past couple of months since November. So we'll see how that plays out too. Like I said, you got to keep the market in the back of your head, as we could see a downfall in the next few days, in the next few weeks. So we are getting close to that area, in my opinion, as well. Here's another one on the conviction list is Flint. And this one has been acting a little rough lately. We have a position for many in the 5 to 520 range. And obviously it took a dip the other day. And coming back down to a demand zone that we added on a week ago. So looking to buy more in this 430 to 440 range. And if it does reach that area, I'd be glad to do so. I'm not selling this one. I believe this hits 10 plus this year. And it's one of my strongly convicted plays, such as BlackBerry. Now, let's go into a couple more things before we get off. And DraftKings is another one that I really like. So, with New York possibly getting into sports betting, as Cuomo has talked about, this can be another big play going into that. And this is a play that I really liked, even without the New York news coming out. And also, Texas has been talking about it too. So it's very interesting here. And I believe this one doubles this year, going into $100. And it's starting to break out of this long trend here. So once it does break out of this, I guess you could say 57 to 60 range, and hits that new all-time high, it could, start getting moving a lot easier and quicker, going higher. So there's one thing about this one that I like a lot. If you think of Upwork and if you think of Fiverr, they're almost kind of the same companies in a way. Not exactly, but they both do online hiring and stuff like that. And basically, you could put your own jobs up there and get hired through that. So if you look at Fiverr over the past couple of months, over the past couple of years, you could see it's definitely grown exponentially from the bottom here at $20, now at $270. I kind of see the same thing, kind of forming with Upwork, especially with COVID and, a lot of jobs being online. It kind of helps Upwork's, I guess you could say, platform. And this one could see, $50 in the next few months too. And it's been slowly grinding up, just like Fiverr has. And it's coming down to some nice areas to buy at. It's filling this gap around, hold on, sorry. It filled the gap, around that 38 range. So we could look for an entry on here going out to, I guess you could say, March calls, probably 42.50 or 45. And I think it would be a good play going into that. So we'll keep this one on watch as well, and talk about that going forward too. Let's see if there's anything else I would get going here. I believe AI kind of staying still right there. Could be a good play this week too, though, so keep it on watch. Another one on the conviction list, I think this one's going to around 100 this year as well. A lot of these plays that I have on the conviction list are usually doubler plays that could double in the year. I don't really have many more on the top of my head that I really like going into this week. This could be an interesting play here at 145, but Lemonade has been going crazy lately, so it's kind of I don't know if I want to follow in, and if it dips, just like let's say fubo has from, let's see, 60 all the way down to 23. Yeah, I don't want to be stuck in that move. But while we're here as well, might as well just talk about this one. So let me get rid of all these. Okay, so it filled this gap on here around 31, 32. We got to move to 40. And there's actually been more news over the weekend of them acquiring another company or in talks with another company or something. So it seems like it bottomed out around this 23 range and has a good volume shelf from basically 24 to 30. So see a basing in this area around 30 would be a good entry for a longer term hold if you believe in the company, going into this next gap fill at around 42, 43. So that's one thing to look into as well going forward. If there is not, if there's a, I don't believe there's many more plays that I really want to go over right now. I don't see much that really has. Wait, I might as well bring up AMC because I've only brought up in Thinkorswim. But yeah, I really don't see much else that, is looking good going into this week. Of course, things happen when they do, when they move. So I'll bring that up in the week and post it on Twitter and StockTwits and in our Discord room when it does show up. AMC here. So what we talked about before, reason why I was talking about that 270 range is we got this trend line around here, around 280. And we have the 30 SMA around the 270. So it's possible we got to push up into that area and then start to reject a little bit. So that's what we're looking at there. Someone just brought this up to me, and good idea here. So we took a position on this one on FCEL on Friday. Reason I did that is we had the 3 down day set up here, and I kind of like that we filled the gap around the 16 range, and I believe we should start to bottom around here. Let me see what the VWAP is. I'll put it starting from that last downtrend, last push, and we do have a little volume right here starting to build up on this area. So I bought, let me just double check with myself. I bought July 16 $20 calls, and you could see the move that we had in plug, which is basically almost at least in the same sector as it. And this had a move from $13 from at least from October. It was lower than that before to 75. So if we can get even sort of the same move in that, would be amazing. I think we start to, turn around here again and probably hit 25 to 30 in the next 2 to 3 months. So definitely keep this one on watch, and we have a play in this one going forward for July 16 $20 calls. And the reason why we added, like I said, was the gap fill and starting to get into areas right here where you could start to see openings and closings where they acted as supports and acted as resistances and then broke through and went up. So that's all I got today, or tonight, I should say. And we'll be looking into a lot of these plays tomorrow, looking for entries and positions. Right now, we're ending the session at 37.81 as we close this weekly overview. And other than that, definitely take a look into BlackBerry. Definitely take a look into Flint here, FLNT, and make sure to go over all these watchlist plays and see if you find anything yourself. Doesn't mean you have to trade them, but at least try to see things that I spotted and see if you could spot them in other parts of your trading and charting. And if you guys have any questions, please do ask. You can obviously text me on Twitter, private message me on Twitter, or private message me on Discord. Have a great evening, everyone.